Thank you very much for joining us today. We will be starting our workshop presentation in just a couple of minutes at 7 p.m. Eastern. And in the meantime, please enjoy this Averett University video. My name is Brad Johnson. I'm the Vice President of Higher Education Partnerships at Plexus, and I'm honored and excited to serve as the moderator for today's event. This workshop is scheduled for 60 minutes long, and our meeting will be divided into 3 informative segments. Through this workshop, we will guide you through the crucial steps that lie ahead, ensuring that you're well prepared for a smooth transition to Averett University. So to kick things off, each of our esteemed panelists will provide insight regarding essential topics related to admissions, financial aid, and what you need to get ready for fall 2024. The second part of our workshop will include a question and answer section. You'll notice on the bottom of your screen, you can click the Q&A button and ask questions. And you can do this throughout the duration of our workshop today. So please feel free to ask questions in a written format, and our team will answer as many questions as we can. Additionally, Averett senior leaders, including today's speakers, will answer questions. And we're going to stay online for 10 minutes after the workshop presentation to make sure that we can answer as many questions as we possibly can. So towards the end of our session, we will highlight a few questions for our panelists to answer verbally. We will cover scholarships. So joining us today are 3 senior leaders from Averett University. The workshop speakers include Dr. Vanita Mitchell, Vice President of Student Engagement, Clarice Labua, Director of Enrollment Services, and Mr. Matthew Mann, Director of Admissions. Dr. Mitchell, thank you so much for being here today. Dr. Mitchell believes student success makes college verbally engaging in coursework, relationships, and is a huge advocate of student relationships, and that's what she does every day. So I'm going to go ahead and hand the baton over to you, Vanita. The floor is yours.
Great. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm excited that looks like we have a good number here, a good group here. Excited that you're considering Averett, or you have already deposited and are coming to Averett, or just checking us out tonight. So I'm completing my 3rd year here, and I have not regretted my decision to come. We have a dynamic staff that supports the student experience outside of the classroom, and excellent faculty that are here and excited to teach you inside the classroom. Those of us who work at small schools like Averett, we do this because we like having the opportunity to kind of get to know our students. We see you in the dining hall, we see you in classes, we see you in hallways and at campus activities, on the stage, or if you're an athlete, when you're performing there. So that's why we choose to work here. The team I work with supports the student experience outside of the classroom. And as was mentioned in my bio, I do believe that students, who actively engage in their coursework and relationships and student experiences are the ones who really thrive in college. So as you listen to me talking, I want you to think about what you want your college experience to be, whether that's here at Averett, if you've decided that or not. But just think about what you want to get involved in and how you plan to engage. You'll see on some of the slides that as they pop up that we'll have some quotes for some students that we already know have deposited for the fall, and they attended one of these Zoom sessions and let us know what they were excited about. So you'll see their quotes on there. This photo here, because some of you I know have not been to campus, this is our main hall, and the first top 2 floors are where quite a few of our new students live. We're a residential campus, and the 3rd and 4th floor there are where a lot of the new students sign up to live. The next floor has some administrative offices, and then down on the kind of the basement, the 1st floor also has some student support offices like financial aid and AU Central and registrar, things that can help you out with the things outside the classroom. On the next slide, I'm going to introduce you to a few things on our campus. I am coming to you live from the bottom left-hand corner there, which is our student center. My office is on the 4th floor with quite a few of our other student experience, student engagement staff, from residential life to spiritual life to international services and clubs and activities. We're all up here on the 4th floor. Below us is the dining hall. And below that, we have a room where a lot of campus activities and events happen, a pool table. And then tucked down in the bottom corner, we have a coffee shop where if we weren't closed right now, we would have students in and out of there with their cold brews and their hot brews and just relaxing. So we have had our graduation and have, so the campus is kind of quiet. We have some students here, but not quite as many as we do earlier in the year. So I want to talk just briefly about academics. If there's a particular major that you're interested in, that's something you could talk to your admissions counselor about. But I want to kind of mention some of our diverse academic experiences that we have from our honors program, which is a program where students that take those or that participate in the honors program are looking for a little more challenge and looking for some ways to have honors credit. So about 20% of their courses are just another level of critical thinking, maybe a deeper level of research with something that they're interested in. That group also takes has a capstone class, and they often study abroad or take a long trip. This year they went to New Orleans. They studied about New Orleans, and the honor students went and traveled there, and they've done some mini study abroads as well. The general education curriculum, back up, not done with that slide yet. The general education curriculum is a variety of courses that introduce students to like a breadth of skills and qualities and knowledge that we think will prepare you for when you leave college and when you leave Averett. This is the work we do that helps prepare you today for the jobs of tomorrow. It helps with critical thinking, math, writing. Other courses are political science, arts, humanities, theater, all kinds of things that just help you think about critical thinking, decision making, and ways to apply things to the jobs that really, honestly, we don't even know that exist yet. The world is changing so fast, and we know it. So we use these courses to kind of help you learn how to learn and be prepared for the changes that are coming. We have service learning, which are opportunities to embed it in courses that help students contribute to improving things in the community. Those are often focused on something the student's really interested in. The nursing majors do some service learning, psychology, education, and then finally, study abroad. We do have some students that choose to study abroad. Okay, you can move on to the next slide now. We have lots of support and resources here for students. We know that students arrive to us at really different places in the. I talk about students are like coming to us over a bridge, and they arrive just at different levels of college readiness. We use our faculty that are our personalized advising experience. So you'll get to know faculty in a major specifically that would be an advisor, or if you're undecided, we have some advisors that can help you sort that out as well. We have student success coaches, which these are staff in our Student Success Center that maybe help with time management, maybe understanding syllabi, maybe connect you to other resources that we have on campus that might be helpful. We have tutoring, math and writing support, a math lab, a writing lab. We have disability support services. So if you had a accommodation in high school or wherever you were before here, if you're transferring in, this area also helps with that. We have counseling and health services, spiritual life, just lots of things that we know help support students being successful in the classroom. There's a lot to it. We also have tons of unlimited engagement opportunities. There are clubs and organizations. We have some fraternities. We have some clubs that are related to like a nursing association, a psychology association, education. So some of the majors have it. Spiritual life, international cultural programs. We have about 100 international students on campus each year from all over the globe. A lot of our students do volunteering and the service learning, like I mentioned. Lots of leadership development, because again, we know these are the skills that are going to help prepare you for the jobs of tomorrow. Opportunities to be on staff, as student staff in the residence hall, or orientation leaders or club leaders. And if you're not an athlete, but just like to participate in intramurals and are concerned about wellness, we have opportunities there as well. You'll see this quote here from a student that's just looking forward to making new friends and growing together while they're here. All right, next slide. We are a residential campus that majority of our students do live on campus, particularly their first, second, and even third year. We have a variety of residence halls, from suite style to apartments, and Averett, a variety of halls. We're reopening a hall that we have here on campus. So the incoming class will be the first ones to live in a new renovated space that we have here as well. And the residence halls certainly are a great place to meet lots of people and learn about yourself as well. So why Averett? This is the slide that I land on and I say, well, why not Averett, right? I thought the same thing when I came here for my interview, why Averett? And after I'd spent a day here, I was like, why not Averett? So if you've deposited already, your next step is going to be to sign up for one of our ROAR dates, which is registration, orientation, advising, and readiness, where you will get a class schedule and also start to meet student peers that other students that will be coming, and then our peer leaders as well. And I think when Matt Mann speaks, he's going to give you a little bit more information about the ROARs and the placement test for those of you that are ready to deposit or have already deposited. So with that, I think questions can go in the chat. I'm happy to answer them, and I will turn it back to you, Brad.
Excellent. Hey, Dr. Mitchell. Yeah, thank you so much. That was awesome. Very informative. A lot of great information for our students watching and listening today. Thank you so much. Next, please join me in welcoming Clarice Labua. She's the Director of Enrollment Services at Averett University, and she's also an alumna as well. So I will hand the baton over to you, Clarice. Go for it.
Hi, everyone. I am Clarice. I'm so grateful that you guys are joining us this evening. As Brad said, I am a graduate of Averett University. I graduated in 2018. And I absolutely loved my Averett experience so much that I have stayed. I worked in our admissions office for a while, and now I work in our Averett Central area, and I help with financial aid, student accounts, and registrar questions. So I am here today to help talk about financial aid. So this year there is a new FAFSA release. They did some updates to it to release a better FAFSA. And I'm just here to highlight some of those changes that you might have seen this year if you've already completed it or if you're getting ready to complete it. So I'll walk you through some of those. So the FAFSA is, of course, your free application for federal student aid. And what that means is that it's your best opportunity to try to apply and get some federal assistance. This could be from federal work study, from federal grants like Pell, and also from federal student loans such as Parent Plus loan, your unsubsidized and subsidized student loans. So this form is completely free. Once again, it's located on the studentaid.gov website, and it's just a way to help you pay for your higher education experience. All right, so for the Better FAFSA that was released this year in December of 2024, it is simplified and redesigned, so it asks a lot less questions on this than in previous years. So if you completed it in past years, you might have realized it asked a lot less. It's also much faster for students to complete, so it takes on average about 15 minutes for students. And it helps you unlock so much in potential federal student aid that you could receive. So this year also with the changes, it has helped more students be eligible for federal Pell Grant. And so there are expected to be 665,000 more students that will receive federal Pell this year. So that's very exciting news. That's definitely what you want to hear if you are looking for ways to help pay for your higher education experience. So to kind of give you guys a little idea of the timeline coming up, we are in that April-May stage where students are choosing their school that they plan to attend this fall. But don't worry, you still have time. The application is still open to complete for the 24-25 academic year. So make sure, go on, apply. Like I said, it takes about 15 minutes to complete. Once you get that in, it can take about 7 business days for Averett to receive, or any school that you've added to it. So just be a little patient after submitting. We'll get that in, and then we'll be able to get you a financial aid package out as long as you have been accepted to the university and we have gotten that financial aid or that FAFSA on file. Make sure when you go to submit your FAFSA that you have added Averett school code, and I can give that to you as well. It is 003702, and that way you can make sure it'll come into Averett and we can get you a financial aid package out as soon as possible. Also, make sure that you complete your FAFSA each year. That's very important so that you can receive federal aid each year, see what you will qualify for. And it is expected to open for the 25-26 year in October. And now just kind of the highlight of what you need to make sure you have when you go to complete your FAFSA for the 24-25 year. Make sure you complete that studentaid.gov account. So you'll want to set that up. Make sure to save your username and password. Those will be essential in making sure that you are able to get back into the FAFSA account each year, as well as once you graduate that you're able to go back in if you had any student loans to repay those as well. You will also want to make sure to have the 2022 federal income tax return. That information will be required to put on your FAFSA information along with your contributors. And that kind of means who's in your household that helps contribute to the income. So that's where you would put your parents' information, and so that they would sign off and put in all of their documentation so that we're able to get the income information. You'll also want any information about untaxed income and assets, and make sure to add the schools that you're interested in. You want to make sure to add Averett school code, which is once again 003702. So that's just a little bit of a highlight of financial aid. And I think our director of admissions is going to help walk you guys through the financial aid portal here in a little bit.
Well, excellent. Hey, thank you so much, Clarice. That was great insight and support from a financial aid standpoint. Thanks again. And as Dr. Mitchell had mentioned, please continue to feel free to add questions and answers down in that small Q&A box here on our Zoom channel. So now our next speaker, Mr. Matthew Mann, Director of Admissions at Averett. Matt brings a unique perspective as well. He is both an alumnus, having graduated in 2008. He returned to Averett in 2012. His firsthand experience allows him to connect with students and families in a unique and impactful way. Matt, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Brad. And again, good evening to everyone. They put me last, so I'm going to have the most information to share. So again, want to welcome you all, and I'm going to have some really important things to share. And we're going to kind of approach this from the student perspective and what stage that you may or may not be in. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit to each one of you all individually tonight. First, we're going to kind of talk about the students who've been deposited to the university. We're going to then talk about the students who've just been accepted and still making their decisions. And lastly, we'll have some information for those students who have submitted an application but still are have not completed yet, or what they're looking to do to make sure that they can get accepted into Averett. So first group that we have tonight, I know we have some students here who deposited with us and kind of have made that commitment to attend Averett. So want to kind of address you all and tell you all what your next steps are, what you all should be doing, and things like that. So most of you all should have received credentials into some systems to access some checklists and what are their next steps But really, the next big step for you all, if you have not, is registering for our ROAR sessions. As Dr. Mitchell mentioned, ROAR is where you're going to come to campus and actually meet your advisors and get your class schedules and meet future classmates. And this is a really, really important event and that we want to bring you on campus for. And so there's a couple of things that I'm going to recommend. I will be honest with everyone, our first ROAR date filled up and it is over with. So our June 28th date is the next one coming up. I'm going to encourage anyone that's deposited to try to attend that first session. Just because, again, why earlier? Well, we want to make sure you have the best selection of classes. As students are making decisions and making class selections, we want to make sure that you are still having some say in the classes that you would like. And so definitely want to make sure you get those things done. Also, before ROAR, there's some things that we work with you on to make sure you're getting some of the business side of college taken care of. So we want to make sure those things are knocked out of the way so you can have a smooth process. And then again, we just want to make sure that you get it all done and enjoy your summer. And so before ROAR, there's some things that we're going to ask for you all to do, things like placement exams and other things to prepare for your class selection. But to this group, I wanted just to touch base on placement exams. We get a lot of questions about these. So we do require that all incoming students take a placement exam in math and English. Now, some of you all may be exempt from those by taking either dual enrollment courses or SAT scores, or maybe some of you all taking AP classes. And we will work with you all to make sure that those have come in. And so again, those are going to be things that may exempt you from having to take those placement exams. And then, so what to do after ROAR? This is going to be, again, where we want you to enjoy your summer, but there's still going to be some things to take care of. Things like your financial aid preparations, housing, and there's some things like with final transcripts that we're going to talk about too. I'm going to save financial aid for later because it's going to be a big conversation, but I did want to talk about housing. Housing is currently open. So if you're deposited, you have not selected your housing yet in this group, I would highly encourage you to log into the housing portal and do so. Housing fills up here at Averett pretty quickly as far as students' first choices. So we want to make sure that you're still getting those choices in. Now, our housing process is a two-part process. So if you've not done it, it will require you to do a housing application, and then that's followed by housing selection. So that's where, again, you will actually go in and specifically choose your room. So again, the last thing we're going to be working with you all through the summer on making sure that you're taking care of the business. But lastly, it's going to be final transcripts. Most of you all have either wrapped up high school or about to wrap up high school. So making sure that you have those final transcripts with graduation dates and things along those lines, we want to make sure that you're getting those to us. So while we're on this page, I want to just again make note of the QR code there. If you have not registered for ROAR, feel free to screenshot that QR code. It will take you right to the registration. It allows you to go ahead and get yourself into one of those events. Again, we have 2 left for the year, one in June and one in July. Now, if you're a student athlete, you are going to be contacted by the athletic department about making sure that you get your athletic forms in. These are things specific to the NCAA sports here at Averett. So if you're being contacted by a coach, those are things that are going to be very, very important for you all as well. So again, going back to ROAR, Brad, if you go to the next slide, we want this to be an in-person event for you all. Now we do have some virtual options, but we want to meet you all face-to-face. We want you all to meet your classmates face-to-face. Maybe it's future friends or future roommates. And so we put this map in just to show that Averett's pretty centrally located. So we want you to be able to get here in person for one of those ROAR sessions. Now, again, if you are from a further distance away, we are international and you want to take part in a virtual event, we do have one of those in late July to make sure that you still get serviced. But lastly, again, for this, it's really about that excitement of the event. We want you to have that experience of being on campus, meeting each other. So that's just my quick plug for as you're choosing ROAR dates to do your best to get here for an in-person session. I think as Dr. Mitchell mentioned, it's a great day. It's a lot of fun, and we want to make sure you're able to take advantage of that excitement. Next slide, please, Brad. So this right here is probably the number one question we've gotten this year outside of FAFSA changes is all students who have deposited to university receive a set of credentials that allows you into Canvas, which is our online learning system, as well as the housing portal. Now, these are things that you are going to receive by email, and this is going to go to the email address that is on your application. So if you have not seen these, please feel free to reach out to the admissions office. We're happy to get these to you. But again, I wanted to put this in here as a quick place for those to screenshot to be able to get in. Now, we're going to talk about the financial aid portal, things along this lines. But again, this login that you all receive will get you access into Canvas. Now, the next slide is going to kind of talk about as we're getting into Canvas and what those steps are for you all. We'll go through these slides pretty quick, Brad. I'm just going to kind of point. So as you log into Canvas, the first thing you're going to see is a dashboard. And we just want to walk you all through this. This dashboard is going to show the module for all new student check-in. This is going to be a quick place where you're going to access, exactly, Brad, you're good. You're going to see this checklist, kind of quick checklist or list of next things to do. If you hear us ask you for a pre-registration survey, this is going to be a survey you do before ROAR to kind of make sure, hey, I've declared my major. This is actually what I want to do. So we can make sure you're being assigned the right advisor and sign up for the right courses. And then another question we get is about those placement exams. So if you're looking on how to access those placement exams, it's going to be that very bottom part of that checklist that was on that last slide. So again, for our deposit students, you all have made your decision. You have that excitement. Again, making sure we're completing that and getting to ROAR. And we're going to walk you all through the remaining business side of enrolling in college. But really, we want you to attend ROAR and enjoy your summer and get ready for August. So next, you have been accepted, but you have not made that commitment yet. And you're looking as to what your next steps are. We want to kind of walk you all through that. Again, we're at the point of the year, as Clarice mentioned, students are starting to make decisions and kind of finalizing those decisions. So really, we want to make sure you all know the next step would be paying your enrollment deposit. Now, we are not necessarily a sales team at the university. There are some sales things that happen. We're counselors, and we want to make sure that you are seeing a financial aid package before you make these decisions, or you're in a place where you feel comfortable in your decision. So we want to make sure that you're still getting that in time. Now, my apologies here. I forgot to update my slide, but we are still in an early deposit award. So if you make your decision between now and June 1st, you actually still receive a scholarship for making that deposit. This is something that we usually only run in the fall, but for all the students this year, you will need to make sure, we want to make sure that you all had access to everything with all the changes in FAFSA and things like that. So we pushed some deadlines back. And so what I mean by that are our early enrollment deposit awards have been pushed back for you all. Our national decision deadline, which most schools will follow a May 1st deadline. Ours is June 1st this year. And basically what that means is if you make your decision to not attend Averett after June 1st, your deposit is no longer refundable. But again, that's something we work with you all on, and while we want to make sure that you all see a full package. Now, again, that enrollment deposit, you've heard some things about it in the first group, but what does it unlock for you? It allows you to register for ROAR, it allows you to do housing, allows you to prepare for your next steps, and actually enrolling in Averett. So it's super important to make sure you get that in, because that's really what's going to unlock, again, all those next steps. That's also going to unlock a set of credentials that we talked about earlier to access those portals. Now, for this group of students, you all may have already received a set of credentials, which we're going to talk about next, because the next big step for you all is making sure that we get this financial aid done. So if you have not done your FAFSA, we highly encourage you to make sure you do it, especially this time of year. As Clarice mentioned, it is something that takes a fraction of time that it used to, but again, we in admissions are happy to walk you through it. So Brad, next slide, please. We're going to hop right into it. Again, this may look the same as the screenshot before, but another great screenshot to take. You all have received credentials if you've been accepted into the financial aid portal. So this is a set of credentials that you all were emailed, and this is access into Averett's single sign-on kind of portal. This is where you will access things like the financial aid portal, the class registration portal, and eventually this is where you'll access things like your Microsoft Office suite. All students here at Averett receive that. So obviously Word, PowerPoint, Excel, things along those lines. Those will all be accessed there, as well as your Averett email address. So again, just want to make sure you all take a quick screenshot of this, because we're going to go right into the financial aid setup. So Brad, next slide, please. So once you access the financial aid self-service portal, you've gotten into it, you've set it all up, and you're ready to see a package, the first thing that you see when you log into the system is a checklist. This is going to be unique to every one of you. Every student's going to have a unique checklist. So for example, this student right here is an on-campus student. They have done their housing selection. They've kind of gone in and done all those aspects. They filed their FAFSA, as you can see. They've completed the required documents for their FAFSA, but there's some action steps needed. And these are going to be some things that we work with you all to make sure that you all just complete the process. But when you access this portal, this is the first thing you see. The next slide is going to show a menu that's on the left-hand side. And again, I just want to walk you all through this top to bottom. So you're going to see this kind of menu where you're going to see some different options. What you're going to click is My Awards. So once you click My Awards, it's going to take you to the next slide that you see, which is going to be a breakdown of your scholarships and grants. So this student here, for example, is receiving $37,230 in scholarship and grants. This is money that they've earned based off their merit. So I know everyone in this call that has been accepted, you've received a merit scholarship, whether it's presidential or deans or founders, Horizon. So that's where you'll see this student right here is receiving their founder scholarship of $17,000. Now, you also see this student receive what's called academic enhancement. If any of you all attended a scholarship day and interviewed with faculty, they awarded scholarships to students. That's what that award is. We are still offering a visit grant if you have not visited campus, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We still award students $1,000 just for visiting campus. So this student did that. As I mentioned, the student did take advantage of the early deposit award. That Virginia Tuition Assistance Grant is for my Virginia residents. You all may have heard of VTAG. That is what that award is. And then the Pell Grant is the federal need-based money that you will receive at any school you go to. But I saved the last one, the Averett Assistance Grant, for a reason. This is the money that Averett awards families outside of the federal need parameters just to be able to help families out. So even if the student got need money from the government, received their merit scholarships, received all types of scholarships from Averett, at the end of the day, Averett still threw in a little bit over $4,000 to help this student out. So this is kind of the grants and scholarships side of the page that you all receive when you log in. When you scroll down a little bit further in this page, you'll see your loan options. I like to go through these with every student so they're aware. What you all will see, you'll see 3 options as a loan. The vast majority of you all will see 3 options. And you'll see a subsidized, an unsubsidized, and a parent plus loan. The subsidized loan is one that will be in the student's name, but it will not accrue any interest while the student is in school. This is basically a free loan by the government until they graduate. So this is one that we see that's very popular for our families to use. The unsubsidized loan is $2,000. This is a conventional loan. This will accrue interest while the student is in school. Now, just to be honest with everyone, the maximum amount the federal government allows a student to borrow is $5,500. That's the amount the max they'll allow them to borrow in their name, unless there's some other qualifications that does qualify them for additional money. But this is what 99% of students receive from the federal government. So what the federal government does at that point, they offer the parents a loan option called a parent plus loan. Wearing my counselor hat, this is a great option for families who are looking to finance an education, but it is not the end-all be-all option. We understand that you all may have things through your employers, things through your bank as options. So again, we encourage families to explore that. Now, at the end of the day, this student's financial aid package, they received, again, a little over $37,000 in financial aid. Their actual out-of-pocket cost at the end of the day is about, if I remember the calculation correctly, it's about $9,000. And so this student is receiving all this form of aid, and at the end of the day, is only being asked to pay $9,000 for the year, which at the end of the day, Averett's decided to cover the majority of the student's tuition, room and board costs, and things like that. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure this is an affordable option for families. And again, I just encourage you all to reach out to myself or my admissions team or the financial aid team to walk you all through this, because we understand this is a daunting process for many families. And there are lots of options and lots of conversations to have around some of these items. So we want to make sure that you're getting all the information you may need for these things. Give me 1 second, Brad. I'm going to go to my notes, but I did leave this up. So this is the master copy of that cheat sheet. So as again, you'll see at the top 2 sections, Students who have been deposited at the university, you should have received a set of credentials. That is, and the way we help you indicate that is you'll see the au.averett.edu login. That's the one for deposited students. All students who have been accepted will receive the bottom two on how to access financial aid, things along those lines. If you have, this is by far the number one question we've gotten this year. So if you have trouble with this, again, feel free to contact us, and we're happy to try to walk you through it, because we understand it can be a little bit different trying to access some of these systems or new portals or whatever it might be. So we want to make sure that you all have full clarity and access in those awards. So I think my last population is going to be those who've been accepted to the college, those who've applied to the college, but have not necessarily completed their application. So Brad, if you go to the next slide for me, this is going to be a place where, this is going to be a population of students that we're just trying to make sure you understand at the end of the day, Averett's still an option for you. Lots of schools have closed applications or have deadlines have passed, but Averett's on what's called rolling admissions. So we make decisions every single day of the week. Now, we do have some deadlines that we want you all to try to get to, like things along those lines for August 1st to make sure you're ready for check-in and stuff like that. But really, we work with every family and every student individually. I think some of our deposit students on the call would probably agree with me that my counseling staff here is just, again, ready to kind of walk you all through this. So you've completed the application. You'll know that that's probably the easiest college application you'll do. And the only thing we ask for is a high school transcript. We're completely test optional. No need to submit a letter of recommendation. My bad joke in the office is none of you all are going to ask a teacher who are a professional who doesn't like you to write your letter of recommendation. So every single one I've ever read says the same thing. So instead of having you hunt those down and make sure they're sealed, we've just done away with them. So no need to do those. And lastly, there's no essay required for the application unless your counselor asks you for one. We do have a process for those who go to committee to be able to kind of tell their story as to why they think they should be admitted to Averett. Brad, if you go back again for me real quick. So when you submit your transcripts, we are very fortunate here at the university to be able to offer every single student who's offered admissions a scholarship based off your merit. You've been told your whole life that hard work pays off, and we want to make sure we put a value to it. And so the only thing we need to get are those transcripts in order to make that decision. This QR code on this page will take you to a portal that allows you to upload your transcripts. So if you have a digital copy and you're looking to send those in, and you may or may not know who your counselor is to send them to, you can upload them into this portal, and we will make sure they get to your counselor to be able to work with you and read your application. Lastly, the big thing you're going to hear us talk about, if you've been in a Plexus call before, you know we talk about it every time, is visiting campus. So Brad, you can hop to that next slide now. So the college visit, in my opinion, outside of things like, does the college have my major? Is a school that meets our budget as a family? The most important factor is the college visit. I know a lot of students at one point love to just visit by Google Images or find a virtual tour, but really getting on campus and meeting people, meeting current students, understanding what culture is like on the campus is really going to be the best way for you to find your fit in a college campus. My story I tell, and not to bore everyone with my stories, but the story I always tell is when I visited colleges, I grew up visiting a very large school as a kid, going to football games or going to sporting events, and I thought that's where I always wanted to go to school. I went on my very first college visit there, and within 5 minutes, I looked at my parents and said, I'm ready to go. This isn't where I want to go to school. And so I spent the rest of the day sitting by a duck pond, staring at ducks and realizing this isn't somewhere I wanted to go. And so at that point, it was that college visit that really helped me solidify the decision, the type of school I was looking for. And so I say that, as you can see, the number one thing that people go on a college visit for are still to see what the campus looks like. There's a lot of different things here that make that visit important. And so there's different ways you can visit campus. This point in the year, our events are kind of wrapped up. So the vast majority of our students are visiting daily and taking personal tours. During those personal tours, you will be walked around by a student, usually one-on-one during the summer. So you and your family can ask all the questions you would like. And then you actually have a chance to sit down with admissions in a one-on-one session, whether to answer your financial aid questions, whether to help with FAFSA, to get more in depth in your major, whatever it might be. those counseling staff is ready to help. So during the visit, my biggest recommendation for this is make sure you have your questions ready. I don't know how many times I've worked with a family and the student comes in, I go, all right, what type of questions you have? And they look at me with a blank stare. This is a very big decision for majority of you all, and also a very big investment. So we want to make sure that we answer all of your questions while you're here. And I know very often my counselors say that after the tour, mom or dad or student emails them and, hey, these are my questions. And again, we understand that questions might pop up afterwards, but if you have those kind of prepared, we definitely want to make sure we handle everything while you're here on campus. And again, after the campus visit, we want to make sure that we are following up with you and seeing how your visit went, but also just again making sure the questions that you have, or whether hey, I'm ready to make that next step, what is it going to be? We walk you through that. So again, the visit, I can spend all day on the college visit. It is 100%, in my opinion, the most important part of your college decision-making process. So Brad, next slide, please. So again, I've already walked through some of these things, but you've applied. Oh, sorry, this is our final group. My apologies. Final group, you have not even applied yet. You've been listening to all these things today, and you're like, all right, well, Roar sounds like a good time, or you know what, I need to go ahead and choose housing. How do I need to get that step? The applicant, everyone on this call that's applied will tell you the application is the easiest process of all this. Now, you all at this point may or may not have applied to different schools, so different schools are going to ask for different things. But again, I want to just go back to some of those things I pointed out in our earlier slide, where our application is super simple. We're not going to require an essay. We're not going to require those references. I know we use the language test optional here, so we get the question a lot, does it really mean you're test optional? Yes, it really means we're test optional. Your SAT or ACT score does not help your decision. It can help with, like I said, placement tests and stuff like that, but it does not help. You may hear some other language, probably not so much at this point in the year around some dates and deadlines, but again, that last one is the most important for us. Averett's on what's called rolling admissions, so rolling decisions. So we make decisions every day. You're not going to be waiting around until midsummer to find out your decision. This is something we do pretty quickly. So again, something we're able to help every single family, every single kind of population that's ready to move forward in the process. But again, if you're on this call and you haven't applied yet, we just want to make sure we kind of walk you through that as well. All right. So I know Dr. Mitch and I have both made our plugs for this, but this is going to be one of my last big plugs for when it comes to Summer Roar. So remember, in order to attend this day, you have got to submit your enrollment deposit to university. And so again, as I mentioned, the June date is filling up pretty quickly. I know currently we have over 100 students coming to campus that day. July 19th is going to be another large day. So these are going to be these in-person events. And again, I know I'm a broken record, but I want to make sure you all understand the importance of being here on campus in person. We would love for you all to make sure you can experience this day in person versus a virtual option. Well, Brad, I think that heads to our Q&A, and then I'm happy to answer any questions families have. Feel free to throw them in the chat. I know I dropped a lot of information on you all, but there's a lot of different students on this call tonight, so I want to make sure that I had a little bit of information for everyone. But again, for those students who've been deposited or been accepted, there's lots of steps for you all to take. So feel free to reach out to us in admissions so we can walk you through it. Thank you, Brad.
Excellent. Hey, Matt, thank you so much. That was such great information. We really appreciate it. And at this time, we're going to go ahead and go through some of the Q&As, and also like a few questions and ask our esteemed panel of speakers to help with the answers. And as we're asking those questions, you'll see a poll show up on the screen. And audience members, please make sure to go through the poll and complete the poll answering all questions. And keep in mind, it's necessary to complete the poll in order for you to qualify to receive a gift card. Before we go to the poll, I did want to highlight and summarize scholarships that Mr. Mann had mentioned. And if I could, Matt, if I could hand the baton over to you just to walk through some of these scholarships.
Absolutely. And so as I mentioned in my kind of chat, Averett's very fortunate to be able to give merit scholarships to every single student. And so this is going to be kind of a schedule of what those awards look like. Now, I will say it's a common practice amongst universities to say, you know what, we're going to advertise that presidential scholarship, but we may know internally we only have 3 of them to offer. At Averett, that's not the case. At Averett, if you qualify for the award, we have no maximum amount of these that we can give away. So I'd say I think a lot of faculty would be excited if we had a full class of presidential scholars, but we would match it if we did. So these are strictly based off of your GPA. It's the only way we can make it fair, because we know not every school district's the same or whatever it might be. So we do kind of break it all back down to a 4.0 scale, just to again make sure we're keeping some fairness across these. But yeah, it's super simple. Nothing you have to do extra to qualify for them. Simply apply and submit your transcripts, and a council will reach out to you with what that amount is. Now, these are going to be some other awards that we offer as an institution through financial aid. So Averett Assistance Grant, I walked you all through that in that screenshot. This is, again, quick pitch, money that Averett awards that is outside the FAFSA parameters. I talk to families every single year that look at me and go, we're not going to do a FAFSA. I'm sure Clarice has probably heard these too. They go, we're not going to do a FAFSA. We make too much money. There's no point in us doing it. It's a waste of my time. You may have done that for other schools, and you may know that you don't qualify for Pell Grant, but that does not mean you're not going to qualify for extra money from Averett. And so as this FAFSA has been made even easier than before, even though this year has been a wild ride with the rollout of it, you could potentially qualify for quite a significant amount of money from Averett. I know I was working with a family today that got almost $18,000 additional from Averett. And so again, it's kind of a case-by-case basis in the way our financial aid team awards that, but definitely something you all could qualify for. For my dual enrollment and transfer students on the call, if you've taken community college classes and college courses, and you've been awarded membership into PTK, Phi Theta Kappa, Averett does award a scholarship to you. The only thing we need is the transcript that shows you're in it, or the certificate that says you've been awarded admissions into the program. The Plexus Campus Visit Scholarship, this is the visit award that we talk about. You get that every year, kind of as a $1,000 increment, kind of a total amount there. And then the Graduate Merit Scholarship is going to be for our students here that are from Danville and local areas that are receiving recognition as being a graduate merit in their school district. It's something we're happy to provide to students. For our members of clergy, we award some additional help for you all as well. You have to be residential to receive that, but our financial aid team gives a $1,000 annual scholarship for that. And then we do keep a list of private awards. I'm looking at Clarice because I think about when she was an admissions counselor with us, how she would always keep a list of all the aviation scholarships that we knew about. And so we in admissions do kind of keep some lists like that. Financial aid keeps lists like that. So we're happy to kind of walk you all through those. Those federal grants, as I mentioned before, are going to be things like Pell Grant, things that you need to do a FAFSA to qualify for, and then state grants. I know I speak on the Virginia State Grant of VTAG. This is, again, free money that the state of Virginia gives you to go to college. It's a quick application to apply for. But for my families who aren't from Virginia, we just encourage you all to check with your state governments, because every state has a program like this. Some allow you to transfer them, some don't. But again, I just encourage you to check with your state. Clarice, any additions you have to that information on those awards?
No, I think you hit it all. I just always recommend for students, look everywhere and anywhere you can for any scholarships that are not necessarily specific to a university. You never know where you could find them. Sometimes credit unions offer them. My local electric company even offered them when I was looking to go to school. So make sure to check out anywhere you can.
That's a great point. I would also just add, I know we talk about it every year in the office. It's inevitable that I'm going to meet a student that comes in with 10 $250 scholarships. My plug when it comes to scholarship searches is going to go, remember, the bigger the scholarship, the more the competition is going to be. And so if you're think local, think small, as Clarice mentioned, check with the credit unions and electric companies and churches and Kiwanis clubs and civic organizations. Every one of them are usually going to have some type of scholarship program. I can speak on behalf of a church I went to. We used to struggle to find students to even apply for the awards. And so when you hear people say that a lot of these go ungiven, trust me, I've actually seen them go ungiven. And so again, we want to make sure that we're helping you find as much money as possible.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the unique aspects about Averett is that most students graduate in 4 years. The average graduation rate nationally is 5 years or more. So the ability to graduate in 4 years goes a long way when it comes to your financial planning. So we'll go ahead and run through some of the questions right now. And let's go ahead and start with Dr. Mitchell. We have a question from a student who says, what's the first step to get myself immersed at Averett University? And I think this student is referring to, hey, you know, this is a new experience for me. I'm first generation. I'm coming to campus. I want to get involved, but I'm a little nervous.
All right. Yep. First step's roar, but then really once you've done that is welcome week. So welcome week begins the first Saturday, the Sunday where we have move-in day. You'll get that information mid-August. And then we have activities, educational sessions, events, lots of things for about 4 days before classes start, where you start to meet your peers. You have opportunities to learn about clubs. You do team building, get in small groups, large groups. And this is, each part of it is designed to have opportunities for you to meet people, whether it's an ice cream social or it's a small group discussion. This is so that you can start off on the right foot. We introduce you to our resources, so you know what all the things that are here to help you and get you connected to other students, whether you're residential or commuter. So definitely welcome week is the best start. And we have a class here for our first-time full-times that all those students will take that goes for the semester. It's called 110. It's an IDS course, interdisciplinary, and it helps. It's a college transition course. So there's a faculty member and then a peer leader that's in there. And it's a great way that you'll have support throughout the semester. Somebody asked in the chat when classes start. I need to look that up.
August 21st.
August 21st. And so it's that weekend before is move-in. Matt, do you have that in front of you?
August 17th.
Okay, I'm going to put those in here. So August 17th is the first day of welcome week. So if you're a residential, you will move in. If you're a commuter, you definitely want to come. Don't skip welcome week because you're a commuter. You'll be behind the 8 ball when classes start. So the 17th is the first day of welcome week. It's move in, but also opening ceremonies. We have a pinning ceremony. It's an exciting day on campus.
Excellent.
And Brad, if you don't mind, I will just hop in real quick.
Go ahead.
I know Dr. Mitchell mentioned the first step was ROAR. And yeah, definitely want to plug ROAR one more time because it's super, super important. I can't stress it enough.
Well, absolutely. And you'll see that we're staying on these pages with the QR codes. So on this slide right here, 2 steps to orientation, please feel free, you know, to upload your transcript, even a picture, just to take that next step. And I do have a question from the audience, and this probably can go to Clarice and Matt. Matt, maybe I'll start with you, but you had mentioned going to a bigger university and knowing pretty immediately that you were turned off. What was it about Averett that turned you on?
So as corny and cliche as it is, it's the people. And I can't stress that enough. So after visiting a lot of large schools, actually still attending a larger school that had a little bit smaller feel, I still realized at the end of the day it wasn't where I should have been or needed to be. To be honest with everyone, I was a great student. It wasn't in my head. I always had imagined that small schools were places that people held your hand and you only went to if you needed extra help. And when I actually toured Averett, I found the exact opposite. I found it to be much more challenging than I was expecting because you can't really hide in class. I mean, I went to an Old Testament class one time that had 450 people in it, no exaggeration whatsoever. You're not asking questions in those classes. And I just remember, as you all can tell from tonight, I like to talk. And I like to look at people and go, why do you think that? And I like for a professor to look at me and go, well, this is why. And so for me, that was what sold me on Averett, were the people, they were approachable. I was able to have conversations with them. I was able to ask questions to them, but ultimately I was still challenged. And so that, yeah, I know as we say in the Mrs. World, we get chatty. And so, Brad, you ask me questions, I'm going to give you long answers.
No, I love that. I love that. And then Clarice, how about you?
Yeah, I'll kind of second what Matt said. It's definitely the people at Averett. The professors here are fantastic. They definitely open up such a wonderful learning experience. And not only that, having those different things in the classroom where you're not just having a lecture every single time, make it so much more engaging. I had a lot of classes with the community service aspect associated with it, and that is such a game changer. Not only did it open up a great door to help build my resume and get my name out there with different companies and businesses in the field that I was working in, but I also had wonderful internship experiences that you couldn't possibly get by going to a large school. So I was a communications major, and some of our students actually interned with ESPN, with local Braves teams that we have. So it's just the opportunities are endless.
Excellent. Really appreciate that from everyone. And as we're looking at these slides, we're going to get you closer and closer. So one step closer to orientation. Again, you'll see a QR code. So go ahead and scan that. And we'll leave it here just for a few seconds so that you can continue to move forward. And while we're doing this, what are the most popular programs? What are the top 3 programs?
So I guess we'll all kind of bounce all these off, but I'm happy to answer that. So for us, we don't necessarily keep the top most popular kind of ranking, but we definitely have our most popular programs as a whole. You're going to see programs like aviation. You're going to see programs like business, nursing, education, psychology, sociology, criminal justice. Those are all really popular majors for our students. Clarice, do you have any other ones to add that I'm forgetting right off the top of my head?
I think you hit them. I do know there was a question in the chat about what makes Averett such a unique experience from other universities. I'll kind of highlight this. There are very few small campuses and small universities that you can go to where you can drive just 5 minutes away from our main campus location and go to our equestrian center and see our 30 horses that we have on our 100-acre farm. And then drive another 10 minutes to go to our airport where we have quite a few planes, I think 15 to 20 somewhere out there, airplanes where students are flying their first week of classes. And then you go to our athletics facility and you experience such a wonderful thing. There are very few places with that many opportunities all in one location.
Well, absolutely.
I'd also make a plug real quick when it comes to not only our popular programs, but Averett's definitely kind of forward thinking and trying to figure out what's the best opportunities we can offer our students. And so, I mean, this is a few years ago, we started a hospitality and tourism major that's really taken off. That has some really cool, unique experiences with employers and making sure that we can get people directly in the field, even here in Danville where tourism is blowing up. And so kind of be on those front lines and having some major employers helping you through that industry, I think is huge as well.
Excellent. Absolutely. And we're continuing to scroll through some of our slides, and we're on a final step here. So again, another QR code to sign up for Aurora, and you see the dates, June 28th and July 19th. So please go ahead and scan here. And as we're doing this, I'll ask another question. How about organizations?
What do you mean as far as organizations we work with?
Well, organizations at the school, whether it be sorority.
Clubs and works. I'm sorry. I got you.
There you go.
I mentioned a few of them earlier. A lot of the majors have a club or organization that goes with them, like the nursing, education, psychology. So the different majors typically have a club or organization. Then we have social groups, Black Student Union, Sister for Sister, Caribbean Club, International Student Club. We have a show choir. So just about anything that is of interest to a lot of our students within their majors, we have. And then we have students that start new clubs every year. Campus Activities Board is part of student government, but they plan all the activities that happen on campus. Yes, somebody threw in the chat, will we learn about clubs at Roar? You'll learn some about that, but then about 2 weeks in, once we know students are rolling to classes and things, we have a clubs and org fair. And so students can come sign up at a table and get information about the clubs, when their first meeting is, how to join. So there's a club and org fair in the first couple weeks.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Matt, Vanita, Clarice, this has been a true pleasure. You'll see on this slide, hey, get in touch with these folks. This is their email. This is their direct phone number. They want to answer questions. So please do not hesitate to reach out if you have any other additional questions to ask. And we do want to take this time to thank our audience members. We really appreciate carving out time to listen to the presentation. We want to thank our speakers for the great content. And also just a reminder that while the presentation side will be completing here in just a moment, we will all stay on for roughly 10 minutes afterwards, so that if you have questions in the Q&A box down below, please feel free to go ahead and ask those, because we'll stay on and answer them as best we can. So again, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Have a great evening and go Cougars.